Over 6 hours this took me, and we're gonna get a good look at the process. Welcome, lads and lasses. This is Copic Award Entry, which I have no expectation of doing anything or getting any awards, but it's always worth trying, and like, it's basically only time in the year that I actually crack out my Copic markers. I forget about them. So, we're kicking off this process with my sketchbook. It's like, I did a proper sketch to begin with. I didn't do like any thumbnails or anything, and the sketch at this point isn't meant to be pretty, it's just to get my basic composition. I feel like there's sometimes a pressure to have everything pretty, but when you're just getting an idea, it's really not necessary. I knew that I wanted to do my line art digitally, just to make it cleaner and easier, so that I wouldn't like damage the paper with loads of pencil marks before I could get to putting Copic on it. Whereas if you're just, you know, printing something out, it's like pristine line art and then you can get to it. On the flip side, it meant I had to do my piece on printer paper, which isn't the greatest tragedy, because it's not like I have any marker-specific paper anyway. Also, I'm really wanting to practice digital art, and Copics are a traditional medium, so this is my way of actually getting to do some digital art. And like, the compositions are so much easier to play around with. So, how do you feel about drawing dragons? I am abysmal at it, as you can tell from my terrible struggles. So, I decided to restructure, and you can see here, like, I was trying to draw a dragon body, but now it's a man body. I drew, like, just a person, legs, and then threw a shark head on top, and I understand how humans work, not how animals with all their bendy knees and stuff. But I haven't really seen a design quite like this for a dragon-esque sort of creature. It's like businessman shark. I'm sure someone has done that design already, and anything you can think of has probably been done, but having that limitation and having to try to work around it and still make something that looked good, like, pushed me to do something creative that I wouldn't have come up with normally. Especially like the pose, like, it would be hard enough for me to just copy an image of a dragon, but I couldn't find any dragons in this very specific like pose where you're seeing their underbelly and they're sort of like going like with their head up as well. Do you know what I mean? So what do you think this dude shark's story is? Oh, also, he's finally revealed. In the Art with Friends video, I was talking about him, but I didn't show him to anyone. But before I get into more about what he represents in the piece in general, like what my thought process was, I didn't like picture an action scene or anything, or any specific story. It's more like symbolic. But yeah, quick reconnect with the actual process that's happening here. So I did obviously the very sketchy layer of sketch, and then I cleaned it up, and I think now I'm doing the line art. I decided to make it more Copic-ish, seeing as it was for Copic Award, and also ties into the story that I'm trying to tell. I like copy-pasted loads of tiny Copic markers and put them on top of all these little lines I'd already drawn to represent them, but I thought I might as well, because it's digital and it's easy to get that kind of detail. I mean, you still have to copy and paste a bunch. Actually a bit conflicted as to whether to tell you, like, sort of my interpretation of it, because I'd like to hear what you interpret it as. Maybe just like stop now and comment what you interpret it to be. Actually, yeah, I mean, you can basically see the image now. Even, yeah, no, I'll tell you, and you can still have your own interpretation. Okay, the best way to start this would be to read what I wrote as my like thing that you see on the website. If you want to see this on the actual Copic website, then the easiest thing is to just look up the Irish entries, because there's like almost zero. There's, I don't know, 6 or something entries from Ireland. Okay, let's try not to sound too fancy. Inspired by motion, just turned 17. It can feel like we're trapped and drowning in work and social media and even things we enjoy. Or you could just see it as a fun fantasy piece. There'll be a process on my YouTube video now. Digital line art in colour with Copics and other alcohol markers. These alcohol markers, to be exact. Ta-da! That's like the essence of it. Do you guys struggle with like character limits and like word limits when you're trying to enter stuff and you have to write a description? Like, I entered a Crinan competition, and there's a word limit there. Actually, super fun. There's gonna be a video for this too. I won. In my age category, in the oldest age category. So that was really exciting. It's going to be on a postcard, it's going to be an exhibit. Yay! But I got off track. Yeah, so the girl, I guess, is sort of a self-insert. Like, at the time, I was feeling quite overwhelmed with everything that was going on, and like, sometimes it can be like, art isn't actually the most important thing, and it can feel like it's taking over a bit. So, and also like social media and the pressure to put art in social media and try to get a living from it. Hence, aggressive business shark chasing us down with, you know, making YouTube videos. The footage just piles up. And so, can you see the sort of thing that the girl is trapped in and like sort of entangled? Like, I'm trying to draw her legs right now, sort of weaving under and over it. Guess what logo that is? I mean, you're not getting a proper zoom out right now, but that's sort of meant to look like the Instagram logo. It's not exact, I haven't got the middle circle. And then that triangle down the bottom sort of looks like the YouTube logo. So anyway, that's where I got those things from. Someone told me that the like thing at the bottom that I got inspired by the YouTube logo for looks like a path leading off. So that was a cool thing that I hadn't intended. And then on the other hand, it could be seen like as a mountain that's really large but sort of below them, so it gives a really epic perspective to the whole piece. I think it's a pretty cool composition. I don't know much, but I think it works pretty well. I feel like you're directed to the right place, because of the tail being flipped around and the way the shark dude is looking up at her and the way that the markers are going around, and like also her body is like pointing upwards to the corner of the page. And once I put the colour in, I'd say that also helps. Oh, also, like, there's some, you know, sort of heavy-handed sort of symbolism as well. Like, she's got one arm tied behind her back. Like, I don't know, something. I don't put too much thought in, but yeah. I also drew my digital drawing, like, some digital drawing supplies there too. Just so that I wasn't, like, completely stuffing it with loads of art supplies, but it hinted enough at what you needed, you know? One element I really like in the line art is like the fuzzy legs, like the fuzziness that I put around the legs and the tail. Oh, colour, finally! And it's like that shark dude has a lot of different textures, because tail and legs are sort of like fuzzy, and then obviously whatever shark skin feels like, and then dragon skin, I guess the top half is almost like more scaly and like leathery, and then the bottom is fur. Interesting. But what this made me realize is I need to work on my like line weight. It's a little all over the place, and I guess that it's forgivable with this because the focus is on the colouring, but and I kept everything pretty skinny. But sometimes like there's a strand in the hair that it's a bit thick, and like that's not the focus. The face is the focus. So things that are not the focus shouldn't have big heavy lines when everything else is lightly lined, because then that's sort of ripping the focus away. I don't remember picking a specific colour scheme beforehand. Maybe I did. It's been a while since I actually did it. But with the whole YouTube logo thing, that sort of dictated that the background needed to be red, which is not a choice I would have gone with. This whole colour scheme is not something I would naturally like go for or be attracted to. It's very graphic and like in your face, and not very like soft or pastel-y and earthy, which is the sort of stuff I like. I mean, if you look at my art, it's all very like bright and in your face, but once I had the red background, I was like, it makes sense that I use green. It's the complement. I just gotta do it. That's what's gonna make this thing look good. And I do have green shoes and shorts, so get that worked. Also, never used any black in this. To get those darkest colours, I layered the dark olive Copic marker on top of the red, and that got pretty dark. I started to get that like greasy feeling on the surface, but it was cool. So what do you think? Do you prefer my attempt from last year or from this year? Commenting is good for the video, and I also really appreciate subscribing. I just dipped back below 60, probably because I haven't uploaded in ages. And again, if it's late at night, just go to sleep. Just go to sleep right now. Don't stay up any longer. Just go to sleep.